And there is some sense now that the Republicans, like I say, may capitulate on these tax increases. Now, or I should say these tax cuts for middle class, and just allow the tax cuts to sunset on the top 2%. Story out today, I think in the New York Times, by Wiseman. Senior Republican leadership aides say they are contemplating a fallback position, since a standoff on expiring tax rates will be portrayed by Democrats as evidence that the opposition is willing to allow taxes rise on middle class to keep taxes from rising on the rich. And right now, 53% of Americans say that if we go over the fiscal cliff, it's going to be Republicans' fault. I think some 20-some-odd percent think it's Obama's fault. Democrats in Congress, they don't control anything. The leadership officials now say that if no deal can be struck to avert automatic expiration of all Bush-era tax cuts and the onset of deep across-the-board spending cuts, they could foresee taking up and passing legislation this month to extend the tax cuts for the middle class. This is what Pelosi is pushing, and resume the fight over spending and taxes as the nation approaches the next hard deadline, its statutory borrowing limit. So in other words, the Republicans realize that right now they have no leverage. They will take the hit on the expiration of these tax cuts for millionaires, and then they will move into the next round where they will basically take the country's credit rating hostage again. It worked so well for them last time, they're going to try it again. Now the question is, can they actually even get there? Can they even get to the point where they will punt and basically retreat to a position where they have more leverage? A strategic retreat, if you will. The only thing that seems to be helping them right now are people like Steny Hoyer, who is the majority whip. And this is why, when we got the news that Nancy Pelosi was going to continue to be the minority leader for the Democrats, I was so excited about this. Because we now have a situation where Steny Hoyer is saying the following, and this is how they do, ladies and gentlemen. And by they, I'm talking about the Steny Hoyers. I'm talking about the Donahue Peebles. Hoyer, this is according to, I think, The Hill. Am I looking at The Hill? Is that what it is? The Democratic whip warned that taking entitlement benefits off the table is a bad place to start negotiations. What?
Hey, what happened?
Yeah, I'll tell you what happened. The corporatist said, uh-oh. Now understand, in the same way that Donahue Peebles would talk about the political realities, right, and blame others, or at least hang a position on others that he actually holds, but will not argue the merits of, right? That's what what I walked you through on that appearance that I had with Chris Hayes. He would shift from arguing the merits of a position to saying, well, that's the political reality because others are supporting it. And then would not engage in the argument on merits. Steny Hoyer's doing the same thing right here. He's not saying, I want to cut entitlement benefits. I want to cut social insurance. It's just that they want to so badly that it would be a mistake not to include it in negotiations. And anybody who's been involved in negotiations knows that it's exactly, if you want your outcome to be no cuts to social insurance, you don't say it's legitimate that it's on the table. You don't say, we're going to concede this up front, that it is really there is some validity to this argument. Hoyer said GOP proposals, right? Not Hoyer's proposals, but GOP proposals to raise Medicare eligibility age, make wealthier seniors pay higher Medicare rates. Again, there it is, means testing, right? Which we discussed the other day. And limit the cost of living increases for some federal programs. That would be Social Security. Now, you can dress it up any way you want. What he's talking about is partially privatizing Medicare, because those people who would be subject to an increase in eligibility age are going to have to go out into the private market and they're going to have to buy insurance. Never mind the fact that it doesn't actually save any money. In fact, it probably ends up costing more money, not only for those individuals, well, definitely for those individuals, but ultimately for the government, because we know the private insurance industry doesn't contain costs like Medicare, certainly not Medicaid. Even as he warned that he might not support them. So I may not support these positions, but I do think it's got to be on the table. They clearly are on the table, Hoyer said, of the Medicare changes during his weekly press briefing in the Capitol. They were on the table in the Boehner-Obama talks. You see this? He's now taking the position that Boehner is saying, that President Obama in secret negotiations with me already agreed to this in 2011. That does not mean that I'd be prepared to adopt them now, but they're clearly, I think, on the table. This is how they do. You know, this is the functional equivalent of Mila coming to me and saying, hey, can I have another piece of candy today? No, your mom is against it. I mean, if it was up to me, I may or may not be against it, but your mom is against it, so what are you going to do? Hoyer said the GOP's proposal to reduce the cost of living increases to certain federal programs, the so-called Chain Consumer Price Index, should also be considered as part of the fiscal cliff talks. So just, understand what's going on here. Pelosi's going one way, Steny Hoyer's going another. And Steny Hoyer is not claiming that he's going away. He's just saying we need to have respect. And we really need to negotiate this because they seem to be really adamant about it. Not me. Not me.